as with any drug, there definitely are potential side effects, and these are ones that you're maybe going to come across online. If you Google Bravecto side effects, you can get some kind of really nasty scare stories, but you can get nasty scare stories about absolutely any drug that's out there. People will often take to the internet to say that X or Y happened, it had a really serious effect, and even their dog died. Bravecto is a relatively new parasite control for dogs and cats that has some fantastic things going for it. It lasts for much longer than most other parasite controls, and it's also incredibly effective against ticks, which is something that a lot of other products really struggle with. But if you jump online, there's also some concerns about potential side effects, and cost-wise, it's up there. So those are two factors that I'm considering in today's questions.
Welcome to Call the Vet, the show that answers all your dog and cat questions so they can live healthier, happier lives. And here's your host, veterinarian Dr. Alex Avery.
And welcome to the 45th episode of the Call the Vet podcast. If we've not met before, then my name's Dr. Alex and I'm the veterinarian behind ourpetshealth.com, and my aim is to simply answer any questions you have about the health of your pet, about how to take care of them to the best of your ability, or how to treat them or manage them or investigate their problems should they become unwell or injured, with whatever life throws their way. So I'm really grateful that you're here sharing your valuable time with me, and if you aren't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Now, if you're new, you'll also need to know that you can submit your question for an upcoming episode. You simply head over to callthevet.org, click on the submit question button, fill in the form, and I'll be featuring your question in an upcoming show. And I've got some really great questions to answer today. I'm going to be doing this for almost a year now, and very similar questions keep coming up, which isn't a bad thing, but it goes to show that there's a lot of maybe concern or questions or uncertainty about a lot of the very common things that we do for our pets. So vaccination is one topic, but parasite control is also another really common topic that people are wondering about. They're wondering whether they're doing the best thing for their pet, whether they should be doing something else, whether there's a safer product that they can be using, whether they even need to use that treatment at all. So if you fall into any of those categories, you definitely need to keep listening to today's show. And also, you can head over to the back catalogue. If you go over to callthevet.org, you'll see all of my other questions that I've answered about this topic and about loads of different topics as well. There's a really comprehensive back catalogue there. So that's it from me with the intro. Let's get into today's questions. And I'm tackling two questions today because they're quite similar and they link quite nicely into each other. So the first one is Laura, who says, I have two Chihuahua mixed dogs. One weighs 11 pounds and the other weighs about 22 pounds. My question is, can I buy a Bravecto chew for a larger weight dog and split it between them? And then Leanne asks, my 8.8 pound Pomeranian stole about a third of my other dog's Bravecto pill when I wasn't looking. He's 44 pounds. Should I be panicked? So that's Leanne and Laura's questions. And really, let's start off by saying, well, what is Bravecto if you're not aware of it? So it's an isoxazaline parasite control product. So that's the class of drug that it is. NexGard, Simparica are two other products that you might be aware of that are in that isoxazaline class of drugs. And it's really effective at doing a number of things. So it kills fleas for 12 weeks. So that's 3 months. Now, that's a lot longer than most other products. The Seresto collar is probably the only one that lasts longer than that, which lasts for about 8 months or so. So as well as killing fleas, though, the Bravecto, it also kills most ticks for 12 weeks as well. The exception to that is the Lone Star tick, which it only protects for about 8 weeks. So depending on where you are in the world, depends on whether you're going to want that 12, or you're going to be able to achieve that 12-week tick control, or maybe you're only getting 8 weeks. But when I say only 8 weeks, there are a number of other products that will claim to be really good at preventing and killing ticks, but in reality, they're not amazing products. The Bravecto seems to be much more effective, and you definitely get that full amount of control as well. It doesn't taper off towards the end, whereas a lot of the other products which kill fleas and ticks, that tick control does seem to go quite a lot sooner than that flea control does. So, Bravecto, it's a really valuable, or the isoxazaline class of drugs is really valuable when it comes to killing ticks and therefore preventing tick-borne disease, which is what we'll kind of come on to in a little bit as well. So the first question was, can you split Bravecto tablets between more than one dog? And there's, a number of reasons why you might want to do that. The biggest one is going to be cost, because it is not the cheapest drug in the world. It's not the cheapest parasite control out there. And so if you buy a bigger tablet, it's probably going to be cheaper than buying two smaller tablets. But unfortunately, the Bravecto datasheet, it clearly states that the chewable tablets should not be broken or divided. And the reason for this is that the active ingredient within that tablet can't be guaranteed to be evenly mixed throughout the tablet. So that means that when you split it, half a tablet might contain less, or it might contain more than half the total tablet dose. And to that end, the Bravecto, it's a chewable tablet, so you can give it to your dog like a treat, and most will take it really well, but it's not scored, it's not divided in any way to help you split it more evenly, but that active ingredient is just not completely mixed. So, I guess it's uncertain how significant the difference could be. Are you going to be getting a whole dose in one half and virtually nothing in the other? But it certainly could mean that a dog, it's either underdosed or it's overdosed. And this is going to depend on the size of your dog compared to the supposed dose given. So, that being said, something to think about is that the dose rate for dogs within one dosing band does vary quite a lot. So it corresponds to a dose of between 25 and 56 milligrams of the active ingredient per kilogram body weight, which is clearly quite a large dose range to work with. So if there's a little bit of variation within the tablet, how significant is that going to be? Now, you might be happy with that, and you might be happy to split the dose as a result of that, but it's certainly not something that I can specifically recommend. It's not something that I'd recommend you do, given this warning that's on that data sheet. And, at the worst, if you're underdosing, you're not going to be getting the active effect that you're actually using it for. So you're completely wasting your money. Now, if you're overdosing, that's something that we're going to think about now. So in Leanne's question, which was about a smaller dog stealing a little bit of a bigger dog's tablet, we need to think about, well, what are the risks of overdose? What kind of dose can we give? And what are the side effects that we need to think about, with Bravecto, either in its normal use or in overdose. So whenever a drug is tested and is licensed, there are overdosing tests done to have a look at safety and to have a look and see what what kind of safety index and profile there is for a particular drug. So Bravecto was no different, and the data sheet again says that there's no adverse reactions were observed following oral administration to puppies aged 8 to 9 weeks and weighing 2 to 3.6 kilos. So obviously very small young puppies that were treated with overdoses of up to 5 times the maximum recommended dose. So, that's a pretty significant overdose. So that's 5 times that top end of that dose range, which is an awful lot. So in Leanne's case, her dog would have eaten about 170 or 340 milligrams, depending on what the actual tablet size was. And the normal dose that her smaller dog would get would be 112.5 milligrams. So that's less than 5 times overdose the amount of that dog stole. So that should theoretically be completely safe, because there was that testing in the puppies at 5 times with no adverse reaction. So that being said, though, as with any drug, there definitely are potential side effects, and these are ones that you're maybe going to come across online. If you Google Bravecto side effects, you can get some kind of really nasty scare stories, but you can get nasty scare stories about absolutely any drug that's out there. People will often take to the internet to say that the X or Y happened, it had a really serious effect, and even their dog died. Whether that was actually related to that drug or not is a matter for another day, whether it was related to a different condition they had, or it was just progression of the disease that they were being treated for. Those are all things that we need to consider. But absolutely, Bravecto does have some potential side effects, and they include things like diarrhea, vomiting, drooling, and inappetence as, I guess, the main ones. But in rare cases, Bravecto can also cause muscle tremors, it can cause wobbliness, and even seizures in dogs taking these drugs. So, we need to be aware that anything that we give, any drug that we give, has the potential for side effects, and we need to be balancing that risk, that small, very small risk of side effects, certainly very small risk of serious side effects, against the benefits that those drugs are giving us. So in the case of Bravecto, it's reducing or killing fleas, it's preventing things like flea allergic dermatitis, but it's also killing ticks, and that's the big reason, I guess, to use Bravecto, is, to kill those ticks, to prevent tick-borne disease like Lyme disease, as just one example. So, that being said, if your dog does have an overdose, if they do get into a tablet that is a bit too much for them, there are certain dogs that might be at higher risk. So I'd be cautious in recommending the use of Bravecto in any dog that suffers from epilepsy or other forms of seizures. And so if your dog is fitting into that category and they're getting any Bravecto, certainly an overdose of Bravecto, it certainly might be more likely that they're going to develop seizures or other problems. So in anything like this, I'd always be encouraging you to give your vet a call, talk to your vet to see if there is anything that you need to be doing. Do you need to make them vomit? Do you need to take them into the clinic to have some intravenous fluids and other supportive care?
Get your questions answered at callthevet.org.
Bravecto, of course, is just one option when it comes to parasite control, and I've got several different articles, posts looking at the best flea control for your pet, when you need to be thinking about looking at controlling ticks, killing ticks, and the other options that you've got to reducing the risk of tick-borne disease, as well as a more in-depth look at things like side effects and that kind of thing. So head over to the show notes and I'll include links to all of those posts there. It's definitely a lot of reading, but it's a really important topic. And actually, parasite control and preventing known disease risks is one of my key steps to keeping your pet happy, healthy, and out of the vet clinic. Now, if you want to know the other steps that I recommend, I've got a free guide that you can download. Simply head over to ourpetshealth.com/petcareguide, or again, head over to the show notes and I'll leave a link for you to download your free guide. But that's it from me today. Make sure you check out that guide. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts as well about Bravecto and about any other parasite control problems that you've had or the benefits that you've seen to your pet. And until next time, I'm Dr. Alex. This is the Call the Vet podcast. Take care.
You've been listening to Call the Vet. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of the show that answers all of your pet questions.